So the way that I choose cards has changed over time, which is really interesting. I lately have been, my empathic skills, where I feel things in my body, have always been a core way that I read energy for me. And lately I've been using my hand to select cards. So like my hand will kind of pause or light up, or I'll feel a sense of heat. And I will hear a yes in my mind at the same time when I pull the card. So this is kind of a new technique that I've been working with. I've always pulled intuitively, and as I grow as an intuitive, new practices highlight and come through. So the card that I pulled, I'll flip this over. This is what my cards look like, by the way. This is the back of the deck. The Indigo Corners Oracle, which I designed myself, and I've been doing professional readings for many years now. So I pulled the responsibility card. Rainforest responsibility. Here it is upright. It's so pretty in purple. But I pulled it actually in the, I have new positions for my deck. So for those of you that own my deck or that work with my deck, cards can now be pulled in different directions. And this is the Rainforest responsibility pulled to the right, which is a fire position, which is activated, which is going forward, taking responsibility in a very taking action sort of way. This definitely reads for me in the sense that I know that I'm coming into a space of more visibility, of taking more responsibility for my life, for my financial situation, for my independence. And I feel like so many of us that I've talked to recently are kind of going through this change where we're taking on more of our truth in a way. Like there's a lot of challenges between us and what we really want. And so I feel like a lot of the folks I've been talking to recently are finding themselves up against these obstacles, these challenges to what they really want in life, and they're breaking them down. And so we can welcome these challenges, we can welcome the obstacles, because they're placed in the way for us to understand contrast. So when we are like butting our heads against the brick wall of what we don't want, this is excellent. Like this is a really good thing, even though because it feels so off. Like if you're doing something you don't enjoy, if you're doing something you don't want to do, and I'm not just talking about like, oh, I like this or I don't like this, because look, we all have to do things we dislike, and sometimes that's really, really good for us to break open into being able to realize our potential and our worth, that we can actually do way more than the little things we tell ourselves that we can't do. Like this is a really good practice. But I'm talking about like the bigger, like going in the direction that's against what we really want. Like when we're working at a job that we just can't stand, or we have something coming up in a relationship where we're looking at that the relationship that we're in is just really dysfunctional or painful or even abusive, where there's stuff happening in our world that we know we need to change, like we know we need to walk away from. And this is different than just like, oh, I don't like that. Like, oh, I don't like that is like, look, I don't need to spend $4 on coffee every day. Like, even though I like to do that, I don't need to do that. So that's kind of a like thing. That's kind of or like I need to eat, like having a preference is something that can be worked through. Like we can challenge our preferences. Like this is a really healthy practice on the spiritual path, is to challenge our preferences. But I'm again talking about taking bigger responsibility for our choices in terms of what we want, and really being able to actively choose our path. And for me, what this is bringing up as well, which is really interesting, is this idea of decisiveness. And I have been noticing for myself that when I'm really ready to step into a place of truth for myself, of authenticity, where I know I'm being called to do something. I know I've got this fire lit behind me where it's like, I want that. I know I can do that. Come on, you're so close. And I can't quite summon the courage to break through to the other side. Like I can't quite choose to give it my all because my fear's coming up. So again, we have these fears, these obstacles, these things that are right in our face that are eating away at our good energy, trying to like, no, you can't do this. You know, we have imposter syndrome. We have the I'm not good enough thing. All of these obstacles to living the life of our dreams, living the life that we want. And I'm not saying this thing is easy, and if you make the one decision that the $1 million is going to fall out of the sky, that's not necessarily how it works, although sometimes it does. But more like being decisive in the moment when you get that push, when you get that energy sort of channeling in a direction, and you know that there's a window there, you know that there's like momentum, right? Like there's something gathering right behind you, kind of like pushing you to the edge, and you're right there. And all you really got to do in that moment is just choose it. Just choose the thing. Just say yes and let it happen. These moments come up in our lives, and I really believe that they're opportunities to up level or kind of walk into the next place on the path. They're going to bring you these moments, no matter what the outcome is going to be perfect for you. Like that outcome, like when you're choosing from that place of decisiveness and of inner momentum and of knowing, like your knowing center's lit up and you're like, I just have to do this, and you do it. Whatever comes, whatever the outcome is meant to be. So it's like releasing the attachment to the choice leading to exactly what you think should happen, but making that choice, and the choice itself being the peace, the choice itself, that decisiveness in that moment when your knowing center is highlighted, that being the piece that is going to get you to where you need to go, and just trusting wherever that is, whatever lesson comes from that, whatever challenges comes from that, whatever obstacles show up because of that, are meant for you to look at, right? So it's trusting the universe, taking responsibility, being decisive leads us farther toward what we want, and maybe more of what we don't want. And that's good. That's good because it's showing us the contrast. Learning about what we don't want pushes us further down towards our purpose, further towards what we do want. So, we can welcome whatever it is, but bringing in this momentum, this decisiveness is what I'm getting from this card, and encouraging ourselves to make choices from our knowing center and to really push forward from that place inside. So that's today's reading. Thank you for joining me later, if you are joining me later. And please reach out with any questions that you have, and I'll be back again soon. Okay, signing off.